And here's more proof that we are not just a one-club channel. We're not obsessed about FC Bayern Munich. Let's have a look at Dortmund and one player in particular who's been caught in the whirlwind of transfer rumours. It's Karim Adeyemi, one of the fastest footballers in the Bundesliga, if not in all of world football. According to this is a tweet or an X post from BVB News blog. They're citing Patrick Berger, no relation of the former Liverpool player. Patrick Berger, of course, is a Sky reporter for Sky.de. Sky in Germany, trusted news source of all transfers happening in and around the Bundesliga. According to Berger, Karim Adeyemi has repeatedly been a candidate to leave the club, but the player is now leaning towards staying and a contract extension. He feels comfortable, has a good working relationship with Niko Kovac. There's not been any offer, but initial talks are underway. Here is a further breakdown of that on BVBBuzz.com. According to Sky Sports journalist Patrick Berger, Karim Adeyemi has had a change of heart in terms of transfer. The German international, and of course he has just been recalled by Julian Nagelsmann for Die Mannschaft, for the Deutschland, for the Germany squad. They have a UEFA Nations League semi-final coming up against Portugal in the Allianz in Munich, and if they win that game, then they'll be playing the final against either of Spain or France. Anyway, it just proves that things are going well for Karim Adeyemi. He's still in Nagelsmann's plans, and of course, he's playing at Signal Iduna Park at the Westfalenstadion for Dortmund, and it looks like he's going to be there for a little while longer. Look here, see? Patrick Berger also claims the player, Karim Adeyemi, would be interested in renewing his current contract with the Black and Yellows. He's enjoying his time working with Niko Kovac and brother Robert. He's very comfortable at the club. Everything is sweet. Now, here he is, Karim Adeyemi. He's 23 years of age. Of course, he used to play in Austria. Confirmation of that here. Look, he used to play for RB Salzburg, or FC Salzburg as they're going to be known in the Club World Cup. More on that later on in this video. This season then, troubled slightly by injury, I've got to admit. But just back here anyway. 23 years of age, 1 metre 80 centimetres. Again, top right here. He is under contract until June 30th, 2027. It's got a market value of €40 million, and there's numerous clubs have been chomping at the bit to try and sign him. In the Bundesliga, like I say, slightly dogged by injury, still played 25 times, 7 goals, 6 assists from that left wing. In the Champions League, where they got all the way to the quarter-final, just fell up short against Barcelona. 10 appearances in that Champions League run, 5 goals and 2 assists. Very good. In the DFB Pokal, only one game where they were knocked out, but he did come up with an assist for a goal. Karim Adeyemi there. And we look at him again, just a little bit more stats on him. 7 goals, 6 assists. This is in the Bundesliga. 45 shots, hit the woodwork once. He won 165 tackles. He's quite a feisty guy. And again, just to call that out, in the first leg of their quarter-final of the Champions League with Barcelona, in Barcelona, he was subbed off at half-time by Niko Kovac because he was a little bit too wound up. He was thrusting himself into tackles. He was giving it all that. So yeah, Kovac did the right thing and pulled him off at half-time. Put a lot of intensive runs in. Look at that, nearly 1,300, or 1,239. His speed, 36.18 kilometres per hour, and 19 crosses racked up this season. And this is how his performance compares with the rest of the Dortmund squad. Serie Girassi, top bagsman, African bagsman there, who's still going into the Champions League final, which is on this weekend, May 31st. Serie Girassi is still the joint top scorer in that competition, alongside Barcelona's Rafinha, once of Leeds of the Midlands. And it looks like those two will be sharing that trophy come full time. as you can see though, look, Adeyemi's 7 goals and 6 assists. That's put him in good company this season. Again, Jurassi's way out front with in terms of goals, as they need him to be, and they need him to stay as well. Very important. We'll come on to that later on. Here is some of the performances of Karim Adeyemi. This was in a 3-2 home win. This was a game on a Sunday. I watched this one myself. I enjoyed this one. He came up with an assist as well in that game. Only a 6.6 rating, but they still won, and that was part of that incredible 7-win streak, which in order to get them qualified for the Champions League next season. Yeah, he's been part of that run. He did score several goals. In fact, he scored 2 goals in the same game against Wolfsburg, and that was coming off the bench as a sub. I remember that. He scored 2 in 4 minutes. Where's he down here? Look, 8 match rating. 8.0 match rating. Wasn't enough to get man of the match though, was it? Because that went to Valdemir Anton, who also has been recalled by Julian Nagelsmann for Die Mannschaft, for the Deutschland, for the Germany squad in the UEFA Nations League against La Portugal coming up. And here's another game that just illustrates where he plays within Niko Kovac's system, which is a 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1. You can see Adeyemi plays on the left side of an attacking trio alongside Julian Brandt. Yes, Gonzo, we're big fans of Julian Brandt. Perennial link with Arsenal as a transfer, but at age 29 it seems unlikely. Anyway, yeah, Adeyemi plays alongside Brandt in that attacking trio, left-hand side of the pitch, and he goes up and down with that potential of cutting inside and shooting on that sweet right foot of his. And we pick up again here, skysports.de, just confirmation or feel-good factor that it looks like Adeyemi is going to be staying. Now the left footer is leaning towards staying and extending his contract at BVB. He's already expressed a wish in his environment that he's enjoying it. He feels enormously comfortable in Dortmund, gets along well with Niko Kovac. The winger has delivered many strong performances, some of which we've already called out in those illustrations from WhoScored.com, scoring 12 goals in 36 competitive games. 12 goals in 36 games, along with 9 assists. And this is just indicative of how sought after Karim Adeyemi is. Look, again, we're citing numerous journalists that we trust, or trusted sources: Patrick Berger, Florian Plettenberg, Marlon Ichbracher and Luca Sisters. Look at this. Chelsea, Newcastle, both on the Premier League, both consider Adeyemi very sought after, along with Juventus, Napoli and Milan. But of course here, look, Adeyemi's been tempted, but there's no concrete offer that's coming from any top club. Again, that's according to Kicker. That link with Juventus, by the way, according to this ex-post by Forza Juventus, goes all the way back to last summer. So this is July 30th, 2024. Juventus are ready to offer €45 million to sign Adeyemi. The fixed base will be €35 million, while €10 million will be in bonuses. And it came up again a couple of weeks ago. Juventus plotting move for Karim Adeyemi. The 23-year-old's contract with Dortmund is valid, as we know, until June 27. He currently earns slightly less than €3 million per year. The winger would expect a salary adjustment to make that move. This is according to Tutto Sport, their Turin-based newspaper with an online presence. They warn that Juventus' interest comes on the heel of Chelsea and Napoli. Napoli also trying their luck again. Napoli have just edged out Inter in the Serie A this season. I believe that's Conte's 5th title as a manager. Yeah, 5th Scudetto in Serie A. Congratulations to Napoli. Commiserations to Nico from the Taftman community, who's a die-hard young Inter fan. Don't worry, you'll get your own back. Champions League final coming up this weekend, of course. Inter versus the Farmers League PSG, and we'll be making a prediction for that. A video will be dropping in the coming days. Now, what about other signings that might be coming in to Dortmund to back up that midfield and play alongside Karim Adeyemi? Well, Joe Bellingham, that rumour started a couple of weeks back. Of course, Joe Bellingham did win the EFL Championship playoff game for his current club, Sunderland, the Black Cats in the North East. And just as a quick sit rep, the winner of that playoff game, Sunderland versus Sheffield United, gets promoted to the promised land where all the Reddies are, all the money is, into the Premier League. Whereas Sheffield United, unfortunately, it's another year for them, playing against the likes of Hull City in the EFL Championship. Anyway, prior to that game, the rumour was Joe Bellingham had made an ultimatum that if we don't win, I'm going to go. Chances are he was going to go anyway. And following the footsteps of his slightly older brother, Jude, who of course signed for Dortmund from Birmingham City a couple of years ago for €25 million. Anyway, according to our trusted source, Patrick Berger from Sky Sports in Germany, Dortmund and their boss of the club, Hans-Joachim Watzke, travelled to England this week on Monday morning because he'd heard that Bellingham was going to Frankfurt to see the crew at Die Adler, the Eagles. And again, it says here, whilst Borussia Dortmund have maintained a close relationship with the Bellinghams since Jude's departure for Real Madrid 2 years ago, it's Jude's legacy that could dissuade Joe from joining the Black and Yellows. The Englishman might wish to forge his own path, one that could see him joining Frankfurt. Sky journalist Florian Plettenberg reports that Eintracht Frankfurt CEO Florian Kruschke and the team showed Bellingham's, well, the family, because of course actually Jude and Joe Bellingham's mum and dad, they handle all his transfer negotiations. Very similar to Hans Wirtz, who is the father of Florian Wirtz. He and his mother control his interest from his transfers to all his commercial, his sponsorship, boot deals, TV promotions, merchandise, etc., etc. So they're saying here that basically Frankfurt and Florian Krosch and all the exec team rolled out the red carpet and made the Bellinghams feel at home in Frankfurt. And here we are with Florian Plettenberg making the same point that Eintracht Frankfurt have got a really good feeling that Joe Bellingham's going to sign after that visit earlier in this week. Sticking point now is the transfer fee. Marius Krosch and his team showed Bellingham and his parents around the city, the stadium, the club offices, training ground. The coaching staff, aka Dino Topmuller, made it clear where he is expecting Joby Bellingham to play, his role within the team, and he's expected to become a key player for SGE. Quick look at Joe Bellingham. Again, he's only 19. He's 1m91. He currently plays in the central midfield. He's a box-to-box midfielder with a really powerful engine. Gets up and down, covers every blade of grass. Very similar to a Declan Rice. And here he is in the Championship this season. 40 appearances, 4-0, 4 goals, 3 assists. We saw him firsthand when the Black Cats came to Hull City. And yeah, he was awesome. Technically very gifted. Again, gets up and down. He's very driven by intrigue. He's a nuisance. He gets everywhere. Wins the ball. Big ball carrier. Starts the move forward. Starts playing it off and arrives in the box at the right place at the right time. Other news then for Dortmund. Dortmund plot surprise move for Wolves star. Everyone's a star, aren't they? Wolves star Fabio Silva. This is to provide support up front for Serie Girassi. Dortmund interested in Wolverhampton Wanderers striker Fabio Silva, who is currently on loan at Spanish club Las Palmas. Check out that kit. Check out that collar, by the way. Check out that collar. Dortmund are interested in Portuguese striker Fabio Silva, who is currently on loan at Las Palmas. According to the German outlet Bild, again, we've got to trust them, it's Bild, the Borussia are seeking a backup to their talisman Serie Girassi and have identified the Portuguese forward as a potential ideal option. Looking at the bigger picture, I like these little features that you get on goal.com. Signed from Porto for €40 million. Fabio Silva didn't really get the number of starts he'd expected at Molineux. Went out on loan to Spanish club Las Palmas on a season-long loan. Scored 10 goals and provided 3 assists. And this is also interesting. This is Inside Football. German clubs interested in Wolves attacker. Premier League side had paid a hefty €40 million for FC Porto striker Silva. He's highly rated. He's been out on 4 different loan spells. Rangers, Anderlecht, PSV Eindhoven. Champions, by the way, in the Eredivisie. You could argue that Ajax dropped the ball, didn't they? They were what? They were comfortably, with 6 games to go, very far ahead. And then it just all slipped away, Arsenal style, in the last few games. Yeah, look, Silva's contributed to 13 goals directly in his 24 La Liga appearances, and is indeed attracting interest from the likes of Frankfurt as well as Dortmund. That does sort of spoil my punchline, but here you go. Look, this is Italian journalist Rudy Galletti. Eintracht Frankfurt have joined the race for Fabio Silva with real intent after securing their own Champions League place for next season. Leverkusen, as well as Dortmund, keen on the move, but it all depends on what happens, I guess, with the likes of their respective strikers. Yes, Victor Boniface, is he going to stay at Bayer Leverkusen? Bayer Leverkusen, by the way, under new management in Erik ten Hag, the Dutchman, serial trophy winner for Ajax. Unlike the current guy who's just leaving, isn't he? I believe he's going now, actually. Anyway, Erik ten Hag has just taken over as manager, head coach of Bayer Leverkusen. We'll drop a video on that soon. And of course, Serie Girassi playing up front for Dortmund. So that's the point of this tweet, really. It's like, it all depends. All depends on what's happening in the coming weeks. A quick look again at Fabio Silva, 22 years of age, centre forward, Portuguese, played for the under-21s at international level. 24 appearances in La Liga for Las Palmas, 10 goals, 3 assists. Fabulous. And we can see that, again, Fabio Silva, he has played UEFA Nations League for the men's team, for the adults team in Portugal. Only 19 minutes, picked up a yellow card. And Dortmund then, they're trying to get all these transfers done, aren't they? They're trying to get the likes of Job Bellingham, Fabio Silva, and tying down, well, at least not necessarily contract-wise, but tying his head down and his heart, Karim Adeyemi. They're trying to get all this done ahead of the Club World Cup, which is being played in the United States, in Jamaica. Starts on June 15th, but Dortmund's game is not until June 17th. They are playing in a group with Fluminense, or certainly that's the first game anyway. Other teams in Dortmund's group include Ulsan HD and the Sundowns. Mamelodi Sundowns FC, I believe they're from South Africa. Yeah, but the first game is in New York at the MetLife Stadium against Fluminense. And of course, you can cover all the Club World Cup games with us, or we'll cover it all, I should say. You can find it all with us. We'll be producing daily content, at least that's the plan. Yeah, the plan is actually to attend a couple of these games, Dortmund games and SC Bayern Munich games. Fingers crossed on that. There's a few things need to happen between now and then. We've got a few weeks, I suppose, to get all our travel plans locked in. Anyway, even if we don't make it over to Jamaica, you can follow the Club World Cup with us right here on the German Football Spotlight channel. In fact, you can cover everything with us. We've got lots and lots of content in the vault, lots of VODs of live stream, lots of videos about all Bundesliga clubs, daily transfer news, wild predictions for tournaments, wild predictions coming up for the likes of the UEFA Conference League featuring Chelsea, as Chelsea look to complete their European set of trophies. They're in the final against Real Betis. It's the Padawan versus the Master. It's Enzo Maresca lining up against his former boss, Manuel Pellegrini, because they were both part of a management team at West Ham a few years ago in the Premier League. Yeah, you can follow that with us. No better way to do it than to subscribe. So have a think about it. In fact, fuck it. Don't think about it. Just do it. These 2 fingers, like that double pivot for Dortmund, Pascal Gross, Felix de Mecker. Is it going to be Jude Bellingham alongside Pascal Gross and or Sabitzer, if he still gets the game. Yeah. Anyway, that double pivot. First finger smash the like. Second finger hit that subscribe. And then you can shout really loudly, like Niko Kovac does, when he's drilling and disciplining his players in training to keep your shape, keep nice and tight, get those runs in, clock up those Ks, keep it tight, go on that forward press. Anyway, yeah, you can use that, shout out, tell your friends, tell your classmates, your workmates, your family, while you're out and about and in with a shout, tell them about this channel and then bring them in. Bring them in. It's a safe space. As we proved with watch-alongs, no one gets singled out, no one gets timed out. It's very inclusive. The females, the Frauens, they're welcome too. It's a very inclusive place. Yeah, spread the word on our behalf, please. So yeah, if you could like, subscribe, spread the word. We'd very much appreciate that as we head in to the Club World Cup on June 15th. Dortmund's first game on the 17th. And again, Dortmund fans, let's have a bit of positivity that it looks like Karim Adeyemi is here to stay. He's not going to go to Italy, to Juventus or to Napoli. It looks like he's not going to the Premier League, to the likes of Chelsea or Newcastle. Looks like he's your guy for the future. Anyway, thank you if you got this far in the video. Thank you for investing your time. It means a lot to Gonzo and I. In the meantime, enjoy that UEFA Conference League final. Enjoy that final. Up the Chelsea. That's a shout out to you, Jim, from always buying Chelsea. Anyway, I'll be the same. We're going now. Ciao, ciao.